Right, so the first big difference is driving under the influence. In Vietnam, and it's gotten a lot tougher in the last few years regarding driving under the influence, and you can actually have zero tolerance policy, which means any bit of alcohol, even sometimes if you drink drinks like kombucha that have marinated grapes, you can actually get a percentage of alcohol, and then you have to explain why you didn't have it. And the fines are extremely hefty. You're looking at $700+ for the fine. You can actually be losing your license, and you can also be deducted points as well. So it says, dude, you messed up, so now you have to pay for it. This is as opposed to the United States, where they have a blood alcohol content, BAC, tolerance level of 0.08%, which roughly comes out to 1 beer or 1 alcoholic drink per hour, and you can stay within that amount. So I would just stick to my regular coffee every single day so I can stay out of the DUI lane. Ever wonder why Vietnam is flooded with scooters and not cars? Roughly, there's about 50 million scooters and about 7 million cars. This is due to astronomical import taxes. So in the US, it's actually very easy and simple to buy a car. You pretty much just walk into the dealership, put down $3,000 and you walk out with a car. In Asia in general, but here in Vietnam, if you're looking to buy a car that's outside of Asia, you're looking at a 70 to 80% import tax, or if it's a luxury car, the luxury tax as well. That's even twice as much. Other huge shockers that you would have, for example, if you were to buy a Porsche 911 in the US, 100 to 120,000. Here in Vietnam, it'll probably be $200 to $250,000. If you wanted a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, maybe 450 to 500,000 in the States, it would be $1 million here in Vietnam. So why are scooters so prevalent in Vietnam? Scooters are very maneuverable. They can get into the alleys, they can get onto the curbs, they can get all around. Per capita, Vietnam is the top 3 in the world in use of scooters. So if you are going to be in Vietnam, expect a swarm of scooters going around with slow changes that they're going to cars more and more. Did you hear that? Welcome to Vietnam, where honking is an art form. They honk to say, hello, watch out, I am passing through. Why are you in my way? Go ahead, buddy. It is a conversation on the road that people use in order to let others know what they're doing. So if you hate noise, then definitely get yourself a quality earplug, because the honking never sleeps. Sure, some of the cities in the United States like Boston or New York, there's a lot of honking. But in general, when somebody honks, it's borderline rude. So unless if you're in an emergency or somebody's really driving poorly, then you would honk. But in general, most people will not be honking much. Thus, you can drive, listen to your music, and be at peace. But honking happens even at a red light. Vietnam used to have a red light optional vibe, where you would stop at a red light, peek a little bit, see if there's any police, and if there's not, then you just kind of roll through. But due to the recent changes in the traffic laws and the stricter enforcements of the law, especially regarding running red lights, because that's where it causes the most danger and injuries to and accidents as well. Also, the fines are extremely heavy. A car running a red light, you're looking at $700+, and a motorbike is $200+. That is pretty much a month's salary or half a month's salary for many people. Thus, people are stopping at red lights, and I'm actually seeing them stopping 2 to 3 seconds before. Now in America, if you run a red light, you will be in a world of pain. Heavy fines, traffic school, and a camera ticket that will appear in your mailbox next week. Then you have lane discipline. Imagine 2 lanes on paper, but in reality, it becomes 4 to 5 lanes because the scooters are filling in the gaps like Tetris pieces. They are weaving in and out, or finding spaces that can make them more efficient or go a little bit faster, and they make all the lanes easily so that they can travel. This is as opposed to the United States, whereby people respect the lanes. They will stay in their lane, not cross over as much, except for big cities or bad driving cities that I've been to, such as Los Angeles and San Francisco, where you're just weaving in and out regardless of the lane changes and not even making any signals because there are way too many cars. A newer law fines very heavily for people who are weaving erratically throughout the streets or within certain areas. But after decades of improvisation, moving around, finding efficiencies, maneuvering around different places, it's going to be very hard to change their mindset and mentality regarding weaving and lane changing. So I don't think they're going to really enforce that too much and catch people for doing it, just because everybody will get fined all the time. But you haven't really lived in Vietnam until you've seen a full-size refrigerator on a scooter. Got a washing machine you have to move, stack it in the back. Got inventory you have to move, pile it on. Once I saw two grown men and an adult pig on a motorbike. That's not an urban legend. That's a Tuesday in Vietnam. So legally, there are rules against overloading or overstacking things in your scooter, and the fines are about $20 to $30, but enforcement is quite spotty. For many of these families, the scooter is their only form of transportation, and they want to work, and they got to do what they got to do. If you need to move stuff and you got to get your family around and overload, then you just got to use your scooter and accept that you might get fined. But to be honest, over 10 years here in Vietnam, I have not seen anybody get fined or tell me that they got fined because of overloaded cargo. In the US, if you have to move things around, you probably just borrow your friend's pickup truck or hire a U-Haul service. So before 2007, and I remember that as well, that day, helmets were optional in Vietnam. Government enforced that everybody has to wear a helmet except for kids who were under 6 years old. At that time, I thought that was a little bit weird because we want to protect our kids, especially with their fragile brains. But hey, I didn't come up with the law. And now everybody has to wear a helmet, which is actually very good. The law did not specify exactly what type of helmet you had to wear, whether it was a partial, a half, or a full face. And of course, you actually see some of the people driving motorbikes here in Vietnam doing half shells or toy helmets, or even helmets that are only used for bicycles. But nonetheless, at least it provides some sort of safety for them rather than not having anything at all. And after the law came out, there were definitely a lot less head injuries to the people after the helmet law came out in Vietnam, which is very good. Although sometimes the police will do a mass check, so not having your helmet while driving will have a substantial fine, but most of the people here in Ho Chi Minh City will wear helmets. But you'll actually notice when you go to Hanoi, a lot of them, even at the capital, they do not wear the helmets just because they might think they're above the law. In contrast, in America, if you are driving a motorcycle and you have the license, the rule is you have to wear a full face DOT or Department of Transportation approved helmet. So listen up, because driving in Vietnam can be a legal minefield. In 2019, the traffic law in Vietnam recognized Vietnam as part of the 1968 Vienna Convention regarding International Driver's Permits, or IDP. But in practice, enforcement is all over the place. You can have your foreign driver's license and your IDP, and depending on the police officer or traffic violation officer accepting your IDP or not accepting your IDP. And for sure, there are a few things that you should know. Your foreign driver's license is not recognized in Vietnam, for sure. Also, in order to fully protect yourself while driving in Vietnam, it's best for you to convert your international driver's license into a Vietnamese driver's license, but that requires you to have a temporary residence card or some sort of work or something that you're doing, investing or working or having a business in Vietnam. But I would also recommend that you have your IDP as well and your foreign license, and then also get your Vietnamese driver's license so you have all the documents in case you need to make any arguments with a particular officer. And then of course the best thing is just to always drive safely, drive according to the laws and the rules, so that you don't get into a situation where you have to use your license. So if you're looking at a conversion of your foreign license into your Vietnamese license so you can be fully compliant with the law, here's something to consider. Like for example, I'm from California. For a 4-wheel license, it's a C class, and then for a motorcycle is an M. So if you have a C class license in the United States, but you decide to drive a motorbike here in Vietnam, which requires you to have an A1 or A2 license, then when you convert your license, it only converts a 4-wheel license. That means that you are not legally permitted to drive a 2-wheel car in Vietnam, which is a motorcycle or a motorbike. So that's something you definitely have to consider, or you have to either get your motorcycle license in the States and convert at the same time, or you have to actually go and take the test and get your 2-wheel license or A1, A2 in Vietnam. If you are a tourist and just traveling in Vietnam for a short period of time, normally you're probably just using your foreign license and an IDP. There should not be any issues unless you get pulled over. So the goal is not to get pulled over. For longer term residents who are in Vietnam for work or for other longer term stays, then you should get your local Vietnamese license after 90 days. This will fully protect you to allow you to drive in Vietnam, either a 4-wheel or a 2-wheel car. In order to get this process done, you will need to translate and notarize your license, prove residency, either you're renting a place in Vietnam, and paying a small fee. So at the end of the day, currently in Vietnam, the IDP is quite a gamble. So in order to play it safe and to be safest, get your motorcycle license in your foreign country, put that on your license for 4-wheel and 2-wheel, and then when you come to Vietnam, convert that into your Vietnamese license for 4 and 2 wheels, and you will be able to safely drive, ride in Vietnam without any issues, just as long as you're not violating the Vietnamese traffic laws. So now that you have your Vietnamese driver's license legally allowed to drive in Vietnam, the decision is, should I own a car or a motorbike in Vietnam? What are the rules and regulations in order to do so? So in order to register a car under your foreign license or as a foreigner in Vietnam, you would have to have a TRC, a temporary residence card, which you can get via marriage to a Vietnamese citizen, or to open up a business, or a work permit, you're working for a company, or an investor visa, which are all the things that we can help you with. So do you want to go through all that hassle in order to have a car in Vietnam? And there are many factors and many reasons why. Or the other option is you just use Grab. It's Uber, but here in Vietnam and Southeast Asia, where you can just book rideshare and get anywhere you need at any time. So those are the decisions that you'd have to make if either you own a car here or you just use ride-sharing apps in order to get around. So owning a car in the US is quite easy. You just drive up, walk up to your dealership, pick out the car, put a deposit down, sign some paperwork, and you're off the lot with the car. But in Vietnam, there's a lot more work to it. One is you have to have a big deposit, some taxes, registration, and of course you got to make sure you have your immigration documents in place in order to own a car in Vietnam. But of course we always have exceptions because we work closely with the Vietnamese overseas community. If you're Vietnamese overseas and you were born in Vietnam with a valid Vietnamese birth certificate, we can get you your Vietnamese citizenship, which includes your passport and your national ID. This will give you a benefit of registering the car under local, opening up a company, owning land, and many of the other benefits as well. So if you are within that category and group of people, then definitely reach out to us. One thing's for sure, Vietnam streets are definitely not the German Autobahn because you cannot go very fast at all. A typical speed limit in Vietnam in the big cities is 40 kilometers per hour, which is roughly about 25 miles per hour. And when you go on the freeway, you can go at max 120 kilometers per hour, which is about 75 miles per hour. It's not super fast, but at least it keeps people safe and they can continue to get where they're going. Further in Vietnam, scooters, cars, buses, or any mode of transportation, except for the horse carriage, will follow the 40 kilometer per hour up to 120 kilometers. But of course, motorbikes are not permitted to go onto the highways. so they would not be able to go that fast. Still, you will sometimes have a speed demon, maybe a young, vibrant, confident young man that will just drive very fast and be speeding through the streets, especially at night where there are certain areas that they go racing or they go a little bit faster. But predominantly, we go pretty slowly. As you can see, I've been driving around quite a while now, and I'm going 28 kilometers per hour right this minute. And nobody really cares because street driving is very slow anyway. In the States, the typical driving limits are between 55 to 80 miles per hour. So that's extremely fast. But here, if you were to try that speed in any typical street, you probably won't have enough time to avoid that street vendor that just popped out of nowhere. Vietnam's right-of-way was really considered a trust exercise, where everybody's edging into the intersection, expecting or hoping that they won't collide with anybody else. This kind of worked, but it turned crossing the street into a Fargo-like adventure. New rules says that cars and motorbikes have to yield to pedestrians crossing the street, but also to cars when they are turning left at a light. Violations of this will be from $150 to $700. However, old habits persist, and thus it will be very difficult to change the way that they move. So if you are crossing the street, don't freeze up, don't stop. It throws everyone off and might invite a near miss. So let's talk about pumping gas. So we're here driving up to the gas station in Vietnam. As you can see, big difference already. There aren't motorbikes in the United States here. You have the bicycles and the motorbikes and also the cars as well. See, so we're driving into this area. Oh shit! It's gonna have to go. Open the back, Kim. 500.000 đi.
Đủ 500 đi vậy.
Yeah, đi ngoài trời. Okay, here. Yeah. Okay, so you do your window, okay? Okay. So definitely in the there's a big difference in Vietnam and the United States regarding pumping gas. In Vietnam, as you can see, I just pulled up. We chill in our car in our nice air conditioned and never have to actually touch anything. We just give them the money. But one thing you have to do, consider, you definitely got to look at the, make sure you have the 95 and the right gas, and that they're pumping for your car and not somebody else's car. Definitely got to pay attention to that. As opposed in the United States, the majority, probably 80% of all the states, you drive up, you pump your own gas, and then you go pay. Either you pay with your card inside or you can pay right at the machine. There are very few exceptions of few states that don't allow you to pump your own gas. So there are only a few exceptions in the United States like New Jersey and Oregon. Aside from that, everybody else has to pump their own gas. So comparing the two, you look at Vietnam, you can, especially when it's pouring rain and also monsoon season, you can just sit in the comfort of your car. You can just relax, right? We just got our gas pumped already, and now we are off. So we don't even have to wait very long. We got our gas. We never had to leave our car and everything is smooth. So comparing the two, I actually really like the Vietnam way of getting your gas and pumping and filling up. All right, so perfect timing.
Hello.
How was your shopping?
Well, very good.
Good, good. Glad to hear. So please put your bag in the back and we will get to these last 2 points. Make sure you put on your seatbelts because I know you live in America and definitely need to put on your seatbelts. And now let's get to sidewalk driving. In the past, scooters used the sidewalks to avoid traffic jams and to maneuver through many of the traffics in different areas. But they were cutting very dangerously close to pedestrians. And unfortunately, some of them were used to actually steal phones or get things from other people as well. It was common for visitors to just assume that the sidewalk was a part of the road because they really got used to it. However, I don't believe that's actually very healthy just because the roads get really broken and really bad due to all that sidewalk driving. There were fines that were on paper, but there was extremely little enforcement. Then, with this new monumental traffic law in Vietnam that has really changed the way that the people use the sidewalks, the fines went up to $150 to $200 per violation of driving on the sidewalk. In the past few weeks, after the law came out, definitely nobody drove on the sidewalks. It was very clean, very nice. Pedestrians were able to walk. But the side effect of that is traffic got really, really bad during the traffic hours because they couldn't find any more escape routes or more efficient ways to get to where they wanted to go. So you have people following the laws more because there are penalties, but then on the reverse side, traffic has gotten even worse due to the new traffic laws. So there you have it, 13 insane ways people drive in Vietnam versus the United States. The stricter laws were aimed to make driving safer, create a safer environment for people driving in Vietnam, and also to improve their driving skills as well. The government's goals are to reduce accidents, protect pedestrians, and bring Vietnam closer to international road standards. Whether these new measures would truly curb the many, many decades of freewheeling and driving on the sidewalks. If you're looking to drive in Vietnam, make sure that you have a driver's license, wear a real helmet, go slowly, and of course, do not drive on the sidewalk. If you like this breakdown and found it shocking,
thanks for watching and subscribe.
Please make sure you subscribe, like our Facebook page and all our social media, and comment below about all these shocking and crazy ways of driving in Vietnam. I know I took a big risk in order to drive and talk as well, but of course we don't have a Hollywood budget whereby they rent a whole trailer, so you put the car on the trailer and then they drive around. But I hope you appreciate our efforts and our team's efforts to make this video for you on driving craziness in Vietnam. So on behalf of Duong Global, my name is Ken Duong. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.